Chapter 9, Part 5. Whoever seeks me finds peace. Scenes 930 to 934. Introduction. The door of grace is always open.
Scene. The battlefield lies quiet for a moment. Arjuna, who once trembled with doubt, now listens with a soft, awakened heart. Krishna has shown him the cosmic order, the secret of devotion, and the universal reach of divine love. But now comes the final reassurance, the promise that no one, however broken or burdened, is ever beyond redemption.
Then, the ancient world, like ours, carried deep divisions. There were social hierarchies, ideas of purity and sin, categories of worthiness. The learned believed they alone could approach the sacred. The fallen were told to stay outside the temple gates. Krishna overturns all of it with one sentence that echoes through eternity. Even if the most sinful person worships me with devotion, he must be considered righteous, for he has rightly resolved. This declaration shatters the walls of spiritual exclusivity. It does not glorify sin, it glorifies transformation. Krishna's compassion recognizes the dynamic truth of the soul that everyone, no matter how lost, carries the spark of divine potential. One moment of sincere remembrance can outweigh years of forgetfulness. For Arjuna, this is deeply personal. The war he faces will force him into moral complexity, duty that involves destruction, righteousness that looks like sin. Krishna's assurance is liberating. When intention is pure and surrender complete, even seemingly harsh action becomes sacred.
Now, in our modern life, this message is revolutionary. Many people carry guilt from past mistakes, failures, or moral confusion. Society too often labels, judges, and rejects. Krishna's voice cuts through all that noise. No soul is disqualified from grace. Spirituality is not a privilege of the perfect. It is the medicine of the imperfect. The sinner, the doubter, the fallen, the seeker, all are equally welcome.
Krishna's compassion also extends to inclusivity. He speaks of women, merchants, farmers, and those of humble origins groups once denied spiritual recognition, and declares that all who love him are his own. He levels the field between king and beggar, scholar and laborer. God's temple is not built of stone, it is built of hearts that remember love.
His message redefines spirituality from being an escape into holiness to being a return to wholeness. The journey is not about becoming someone new, but remembering who you truly are, an expression of the divine.
Focus. Grace is not earned, it is received. Transformation begins not at perfection but at surrender. Whoever turns toward the divine, even once, walks into peace that never fades. Scene 930. Even the sinner becomes holy.
Scene. Krishna declares, "Even if the most sinful person worships me with unwavering devotion, he must be regarded as righteous, for he has rightly resolved."
Then, these words strike Arjuna with the force of compassion. Krishna, the eternal guide, reveals the secret of redemption. Even the gravest sinner, the one society condemns, can become holy through one decisive act of surrender. The past does not define the soul, the direction of the heart does. Once love for God awakens, it burns away guilt like fire consuming dry grass.
For Arjuna, who stands amid the chaos of war, this message lands as grace. His duty will involve taking lives. His heart wrestles with moral pain. Krishna's teaching liberates him. Purity lies not in avoidance, but in alignment. The one who surrenders completely is reborn in that very moment.
This truth is the Gita's most radical compassion. It affirms that the divine sees potential where the world sees failure. One act of true devotion outweighs countless errors. A sinner who turns toward God has already begun the journey to light. Only the mind clings to judgment.
Now, this verse speaks directly to our times. People often drown in regret, believing they are unworthy of peace because of past choices. Krishna's message is freedom from that prison. Transformation does not wait for perfection. It begins the instant you turn toward truth.
Psychologically, this verse also reflects a deep law of healing. Energy flows where attention goes. When you focus on guilt, you remain bound. When you focus on surrender, the higher self begins to awaken. Spirituality is not punishment for the past, but participation in renewal. Focus. No soul is beyond redemption. The moment you turn toward love with sincerity, you begin anew. God measures direction, not history. Scene 9.31. The devotee never perishes.
Scene. Krishna continues. Quickly he becomes righteous and attains lasting peace. O Arjuna, know it firmly. My devotee never perishes.
Then Krishna seals his assurance with the promised divine protection for every heart that loves sincerely. The transformation of the sinner is not slow, he says, but immediate. When the current of devotion flows, it washes away impurities as the Ganges purifies those who bathe in it. The devotee may stumble, but never truly falls, for grace lifts them again and again. For Arjuna, this gives courage not only for the war before him, but for the war within. The journey toward light is not linear, even the sincere will falter. But Krishna's love is constant, it does not abandon the imperfect. The warrior who trusts this love can act fearlessly, knowing that the divine holds him through every test.
Now, for the modern seeker, this verse ends the cycle of shame. We often define ourselves by our worst moments, yet Krishna defines us by our potential. He assures that divine friendship never ends. You may walk away from God, but God never walks away from you. His grace waits patiently until you are ready to return.
This verse also redefines the idea of righteousness. It is not moral superiority but alignment with divine truth. The one who remembers God in love, however flawed, is already pure in essence. Lasting peace comes not from success but from surrender, the relief of knowing that you are seen, accepted, and guided. Focus. The devotee never perishes. Love redeems faster than effort. The moment you trust God's grace, peace becomes your nature. Scene 932. All are welcome.
Scene. Krishna declares, for those who take refuge in me, women, merchants, workers, and even those of humble birth, they too attain the supreme goal.
Then, this verse marks one of the most revolutionary moments in spiritual history. In a time when access to sacred knowledge was often restricted by gender or birth, Krishna tears down every wall. He proclaims that love, not lineage, determines worthiness. Every soul, regardless of status or circumstance, can reach the divine through faith and devotion.
For Arjuna, raised in a culture of hierarchy, this is a stunning revelation. Krishna affirms that the divine belongs to all, not just priests or kings, but farmers, mothers, servants, and seekers of every kind. God's grace is democratic, universal, and immediate. The heart, not the background, opens the door to liberation.
Krishna's compassion here is both radical and timeless. By including those marginalized by social convention, he expands the very definition of holiness. The divine does not discriminate by gender, class, or role. What matters is sincerity, the soul's readiness to love.
Now, this verse remains deeply relevant in today's world, where divisions still exist between the privileged and the forgotten, the educated and the uneducated, the spiritual and the secular. Krishna's message is clear: no one is disqualified from grace. Every heart that turns in trust becomes sacred ground.
This teaching also reminds us that spirituality is not limited to monks or scholars. The mother who cooks with love, the worker who serves with honesty, the child who prays with simplicity, all are walking the same path. In God's eyes, devotion levels all differences.
Focus. The divine belongs to everyone. Love knows no hierarchy. Every sincere heart, regardless of birth or role, can reach the supreme.
Scene 933. Then what of the devout?
Scene. Krishna adds, how much more then, the righteous brahmanas and devoted royal sages? Therefore, having come into this transient and unhappy world, worship me with devotion.
Then, having embraced all, Krishna now reassures Arjuna that those already living righteously, seekers, sages, leaders, are even closer to liberation when they surrender their virtue to him. Yet he also places this in perspective. The world, being impermanent and full of suffering, is not meant to be clung to. The wise see this truth and turn their hearts toward what lasts, the divine.
For Arjuna, this verse clarifies the urgency of devotion. Dharma, righteousness, and worldly success are valuable, but none replace surrender. Even the learned must transcend pride. Even the noble must yield to love. The soul's home is not in achievement, but in remembrance.
Now, in our modern world, this verse invites humility. Knowledge, virtue, or good deeds are precious, but they can subtly feed the ego. I am spiritual, I am pure. Krishna reminds us that devotion, not pride, fulfills life. True wisdom is not boasting in goodness but dissolving into grace.
This verse also carries a sober truth about life's impermanence. No matter how beautiful or successful our experiences, they fade. Krishna's words invite us to anchor in what endures the eternal presence that outlives every season.
Focus. Even the wise must surrender. The world is fleeting. Love alone endures. Worship the eternal while living in the temporary. Scene 934. Fix your mind on me.
Scene. Krishna concludes, "Fix your mind on me, be devoted to me, worship me, bow to me. Thus united with me, you shall surely come to me."
Then the curtain falls on chapter 9 with Krishna's most intimate invitation. After all the philosophy, paradox, and revelation, the essence is simple. Remember me, love me, and you will find me. He asks not for intellect, austerity, or ritual-only relationship. The Gita, which began with Arjuna's despair, ends this chapter with hope, the heart's direct connection to God.
For Arjuna, this is the ultimate reassurance. The chaos around him, the armies, the noise, the moral weight fades before the clarity of devotion. Krishna is not merely the charioteer guiding his horses, but the divine anchoring his soul. The battle becomes a backdrop for realization. When the mind and heart rest in God, nothing external can disturb peace.
Now, for us, this verse is the living heart of spirituality. Fixing the mind on the divine means living with awareness, devotion, and surrender in every moment. It means bringing love into work, calm into conflict, faith into fear. The practice is not about withdrawal from the world, but remembering the sacred within it.
Modern life pulls attention in countless directions, devices, deadlines, desires. Krishna's guidance offers a path back to stillness. Anchor awareness in love, and everything aligns. Devotion is not emotional escape, it is intelligent surrender. When the mind remembers the divine, life regains rhythm and meaning.
Focus. Fix your mind on Krishna. In love, everything is simplified. In devotion, everything is redeemed. To remember him always is to live in eternal peace. Closing summary: whoever seeks me finds peace.
Seen, the sun of compassion now shines at its brightest. The Lord of the universe reveals his most personal truth, that the door to him is never closed, and every soul, however lost, carries the seed of awakening.
Then, Krishna begins by proclaiming that even the sinner who turns to him becomes righteous. Scene 930. Devotion, not perfection, purifies. The heart that surrenders once begins its journey home. He assures Arjuna that the devotee never perishes. Scene 931. Divine love protects, lifts, and transforms.
Then comes the inclusive revelation, scene 932. All are welcome women, merchants, farmers, the humble, the forgotten, all can reach the supreme. Spirituality is not heritage, but heartbeat. Krishna then addresses the wise, scene 933. Even the learned and virtuous must surrender, for the world is fleeting and love alone endures. Finally, he closes with his simplest command, scene 934. Fix your mind on me, be devoted, bow, and you shall come to me.
Through these verses, Krishna dissolves hierarchy, guilt, and fear. He affirms the sacred dignity of every soul. The sinner, the saint, the strong, the weak, all belong equally to him. The divine does not wait for perfection. He meets you in your imperfection and walks you toward light. Now, these teachings carry profound healing for the modern heart. We live in a world where self-worth is constantly measured by success, image, morality, or approval. Krishna's voice pierces through this illusion. You are already worthy. You have always been mine. The journey is not about becoming someone new, but remembering who you already are, a spark of the infinite.
This chapter also redefines spiritual growth. It is not climbing toward holiness, but relaxing into humility. The more we love, the more we remember our divine origin. Spiritual life is not about rejecting the world, but transforming it through devotion. Every act, thought, and breath can become offering.
Krishna's final words, "Fix your mind on me," are both instruction and invitation. In them lies the medicine for every modern malaise, anxiety, loneliness, fear. When the mind centers on the eternal, life's noise loses its grip. When the heart beats in remembrance, everything becomes prayer.
For Arjuna, this truth transforms his fear into faith. The warrior becomes a yogi. The battlefield becomes an altar. The outer war continues, but within, peace reigns.
Focus. Whoever seeks the divine finds peace. No soul is disqualified, no heart too late. Love is the path, surrender is the key, and remembrance is the destination. The moment you turn toward Krishna, you are already home.